Hey everybody! The world, according to Jen and Carolyn, is going on vacation. We're headed to New Orleans, but fear not, we wouldn't leave you without content. So I give to you 3 separate outtakes from some of the first shit we ever laid down. So accept this as an offering in our absence, and we'll see you next week. Hello, and welcome to The World According to Jen and Carolyn, where my good friend Carolyn.
Hi, I'm Carolyn.
I'm Karen. You're Carolyn.
I'm not Karen.
Some would disagree. No, she's not Karen, I promise. And hopefully I'm not either. So welcome to The World According to Jen and Carolyn. We're going to talk to you. This is our second episode.
Yeah.
Technically our third.
Yeah.
We're very traumatized and damaged by the way that our first episode disappeared. But we're going to get over it. All right. So this is our second episode, technically. And The World According to Jen and Carolyn, really, it's about our influences, right? The time period that we grew up in, the 80s, which was a wild ass
time period.
I know, best. It was the best of times. It was the worst.
That's how you know we're old.
Yeah, exactly.
We're in our 40s.
We just dated ourselves.
Yeah.
80s pop culture. We're going to talk about that. Terrible dating experiences and supernatural phenomena. That's mostly my part.
That's true.
I'm good with the creepy stuff.
Yeah.
So, we definitely think, maybe it's because we're narcissistic, but we think a lot of what matters to us, it's going to resonate with you too. So strap in and get ready to nod in agreement with our opinions and antics. See, I just can't read shit. I got to commit that to memory. Anytime I try to read, it just sounds like I am a robot. It just doesn't work. So this is technically our second episode, and we are up in lovely Lake County, California, the Redneck Riviera.
Which, growing up San Francisco, I never had heard about this place. So you were the first people that brought me up here. We would go Calistoga, and I've been driven up through Eureka, but I never knew this existed.
I don't think a lot of people did. Sorry, I was taking a sip of my adult beverage here. It is a weekend after all, and a holiday weekend at that. So, no, a lot of people that grew up in the Bay Area aren't familiar with Lake County or Canocti. My husband happened to grow up in a plumbing family, and Canocti was a resort up in Lake County, which is about an hour north of Napa, that the plumbers owned. They owned it for years, and it was a big music venue as well as a resort. And so they had that, and the plumbers also had a camp. And it's really cool. It's a benefit for members. And you can start sending your kid there every summer, starting at age 7. So they go from 7 to 14, and it's dope. Anyway, I'm really giving all the details here, all the highlights.
Beautiful, though.
So my husband ran that summer camp for a really long time, and we actually met through a mutual friend of that camp, and the rest is history. 11 years later, right? But that's not what this show is about. That's a little about.
If you don't know where Lake County is, though, it's definitely great wine.
Yeah,
beautiful.
It's cool.
Such nice people. I never realized what a bitch I am till I leave San Francisco.
They're all nice and waving at you and stuff. A lot of them are also Trumpers, but we won't go into that.
Yeah.
But you know what, you guys, this is one of the poorest counties. Last I checked, I think it was the 10th poorest county in California. They need your business. All of a sudden, this is turning into an advertisement for Lake County. Lake County's got a piece of my heart, man. Yeah. I love it. Again, it's where I met my husband. It's a special place to us. And the wine industry is dope. It's not like Napa where it's Disneyland and it's $50 at tasting and it's just commercial as hell. No, most of the time you are up here wine tasting and you're talking to the winemaker, which is rare in Napa. It's rare in Sonoma. So I love it. It's not pretentious.
No, not at all.
We only look fancy, but we're not pretentious. We're pretty chill.
We buy our stuff on Poshmark and
all our shit's used
secondhand.
When I have to buy used Louboutins, when my life's so fucking hard.
Whatever. I feel it's amazing to have to not spend $800 on something that someone else spent that much on.
It is. It feels like a savings. It's a come up for sure. Yeah. So anyway, we digress big time. Just want to give you a little insight into where we're at and what we're doing. I don't know. My husband gave us some pointers.
He did.
Don't listen to men, ladies.
Well, and he told us a couple really interesting things that we agree with and some things that, I don't know, we're going to ponder.
And we know, again, second episode, we're going to get better as we go along. So hang in there with us. And I also, again, We like to get high before we do the show. I'm like pointing my face toward my computer because I have some notes that I'm looking at. And I think that really speaks to where we're at as a society, right? Like we were so used to talking to our fucking computers. Yes. And so I'm not recording this on a phone because we're simpletons. I'm not going to dwell on that GarageBand experience, but
it's traumatizing.
Yeah, it's traumatizing. So, I think we're just so accustomed to doing that I cannot stop. I physically cannot stop myself from turning toward my computer.
My beautiful face is right here.
I know. Jesus, that should be compelling enough.
I paid a lot of money to make my face look this way.
I'm going to look at my friend's beautifully frozen face. Yeah. I also have a frozen face. We'll probably have an episode.
We should do an episode just on
about our frozen faces because we're very like our body, our choice, and women can do whatever the hell they want with their bodies.
Frozen face.
We're not frozen face. Yeah. We're not that scary. Anyway, so today we're going to talk about this episode's called Growing Up Gayish. So I'm going to discuss the hilarity and horror of being raised by a single queer mom with a borderline personality disorder. And, we grew up in the 80s. So all this took place in the 80s, which I think makes it all the more wacky and hilarious. And also, here's a disclaimer, guys, like, I went through a shit ton of trauma as a child. Lots of ACEs, as we say in the business.
Advanced childhood experience.
Advanced childhood. You're the therapist. Advanced. No, I do not feel more advanced. But, there was a lot of physical and psychological violence in my house. A ton. And the way that I've gotten by and the way that I've processed is I laugh.
Yeah.
And I don't want, we said in the first episode, and we'll make it a point to reiterate this, we don't give a fuck about what folks think about what we have to say. Again, unless it's something that offends a person of color, unless it's something that offends, LGBTQ plus community, like we do not give a fuck. So this is terrible. But also I say this to say, like, we all process trauma differently. And so because I laugh at the horrible shit that happened to me, that's my coping mechanism.
Mine as well.
Right.
And probably the basis of our friendship.
I think so. Yeah. And somebody was telling me, so I'm a half Jew. I'm like a miserable half Jew.
I'm a full Jew. I'm just a really bad Jew.
Carolyn's a full Jew. So she's a big part of my Jewish learnings. But I was going to say something about...
it's how we cope.
It's how we cope. Yes.
Well, a lot of cultures that have been treated horribly. Humor is a great repair skill.
We wouldn't have survived.
No.
We wouldn't have survived. And also, we're very anxious. I was talking to another Jewish friend, and I was like, God, we're all so anxious. He's like, well, that's the way we survived. And I was like, yeah, there is something in our DNA.
That's
our
JNA.
Our JNA.
But why the asthma and the eczema? And being bad at sports.
Problems.
Yeah, I don't know. I could do without that. Well, being anxious, it made us, we had to eat in a hurry. And
that's true.
Or not eat at all.
That's why we're so efficient. Anyway, we're going on a very stereotypical tangent about our people. God, I keep talking to the computer. Next time, paper notes, folks, because this is teaching me something. So anyway, I want to talk about this, and this is what works for me, and this is what's healthy for me. It doesn't work for everybody, but it's my trauma, my life, period. And so hopefully you like the episode, but if you don't, I don't really give a fuck because I'm talking to you about my life.
I also feel like, do you feel like you want to tell where you're at with your mom at this point in your life, before or at the end?
I could talk about it at the end. I really want to make a point of, like, just because somebody's family doesn't mean you have obligations. And I think it tells you everything about where I'm at with my mom right now. But we'll circle back to that. But
because that's the part of this story I admire the most, is and where I think a lot of these family narratives. Like, no offense. Again, we're talking about Encanto.
I have a 4.5-year-old, so I'm often talking about Encanto. So
and my biggest problem with that movie, and I think what a lot of people in mental health or in anything, was that they show this very clean cut. It's like a horror trauma, and it was,
it's also Disney.
It was Disney. I know.
They're also the people that brought us Bambi, and how fucked up is that?
I know. But it was like, hey, you could have had an opportunity to also show the other side, where it's like, what do you do when someone's really doing, borderline mom.
Doing harm.
Amina Bolita. And it doesn't all end with them going, oh, I've been traumatizing you this whole time. I'm so sorry. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. Let me change it. It just is they went halfway. Disney because it's Disney.
They only went half in on that generational trauma vibe, y'all.
Yeah. But you're right. It's progress.